cinema matinee. I ain't got $7.50 to pay.
Everybody now.
Real Steel.
Real CG Steel.
Somebody really did want to make a Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie, and as long as those necks don't fly up,
Yeah.
you know, if the moment that neck flies up, lawsuit.
Yeah,
You know?
we can Rock'em Sock'em Robots. So,
Well, somebody said, you know what? Here's what we do. We can't get Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Hasbro, man. There's a story out there from Richard Matheson about fighting robots. We'll just change that shit around.
Completely.
Keep the necks down, and we got our Rock'em Sock'em Robots just with a different name. We have a boxer who probably had to cut his career short because he exists in a world without boxing now. Turns out that people wanted more of a brutal sport. They wanted to get crazy. So instead of having people kill each other, they turned the boxers into robots, which is ridiculous because really in society, we want to see people die.
there would be a market for this type of robot fighting, but certainly not one that would supplant, humans beating the shit out of each other.
Charlie is a washed out former boxer who travels the country in a beat up old freight truck fighting robots in the underground circuit. And he's terrible.
I just need a little loan. Some
What? You serious, Charlie?
a loan, something. A couple hundred, few hundred, whatever you got. Huh? You know I'm good for it, all right?
Look, I know you, man. And as much as I like you, dude, you're a bad bet, brother.
To make things worse, Charlie soon discovers that he has an 11-year-old son that he's never met before named Max, played here by Dakota Goyo. At the beginning, they just established they don't like each other. Hugh Jackman's like, boy, I don't want you. The only reason why I want you is so I can sell you right after I get you.
Which for a kid's film, I was like, wow, okay.
It turns out that this kid actually is pretty good at figuring out how to make these robots fight. They go to a scrapyard. His kid finds like this sparring robot just buried in the mud, just lying there. And Charlie says, hey, kid, you seem to like that robot. If you want him, you can get him. Brings him back. The robot's name is Adam. Turns out that this robot, if it's put in the right mold, it shadow boxes. It mimics everything that its owner can do. And if this robot can like mimic Charlie's moves, then they might have a chance of going on to like some pro robot fighting circuit all the way up to the top.
The whole thing with the shadow boxing, though, is really the key that they've found to try and sell this film to you in two ways. One, Hugh Jackman's character, of course, Charlie, is a returning old boxer who once had a shot at the title. So the whole time, at some point, to some degree, he's going to end up fighting.
Yeah, he's got to have his redemption.
Yeah, he's got to have his redemption that way. And the other one is the way they managed to make it look like this thing has more of a character and a personality than it really does, because the kid sort of like cock its head towards it, and it cocks its head towards the kid. It looks like your robot has emotions and feelings.
I think that if the robot had more emotion, him hanging out that boy, he would have turned the pedal about or something after a while. That kid's up there mimicking and shit, and that robot just tries to cop a feel.
Yeah. Adam loved Max.
These robot scenes that they had in there they're the kicker of the movie for me. These robots are actually meshing well with the real world, especially when you had like the camera constantly moving and the robots moving with those camera angles alongside human beings. I thought that they were done exceptionally well. If they weren't as well done as they were, it would be a lower film. They did try to oversell this as a kid's movie sometime. But it's Rocky with robots. Well, I'm not going to give a shit.
Yeah, I like Rocky.
I think there was an opportunity there to make a great science fiction film, and they missed it, and instead just ended up with a fun one. I also wish they could have used actors like Anthony Mackie and Evangeline Lilly a little bit more, especially Evangeline Lilly, because here she's just simply a love story plot device. That's it. But how does the movie make you feel when you're watching the most exciting parts of it is what counts to me. And I enjoyed it enough to give it a high matinee. I really enjoyed this a lot.
You know what? As these robots fights go, hey, you can actually see what was happening. And, it is nice to have a movie for kids that a 10-year-old kid, he's not going to be familiar with the 8, 9, 10 movies this has ripped off so far. And I will say this. The kid, I don't know what his name is.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, his name is Dakota Goyo, which sounds like a Japanese robot. And yes, he is very good in the movie. But the crazy thing is that he looks just like Jake Lloyd, that kid who was young Anakin Skywalker. So this boy is like a little Darth Vader that can act.
You completely understood where he was coming from.
He ends up becoming the core of the film for the audience this movie's intended for.
So that's like, you know what? These are all positive things. Maybe I'll reevaluate. But even with the robots fighting, it's like, well, it's kind of cool, except they're robots, so they don't feel, and I don't care much.
Hey.
Oh, sorry. I mean, well, not you, co-host. You cool. You know what? I just kind of come in as sort of a high rental.
There's a lot of stuff there that I really wish I could have liked more if it wasn't for the clumsy and predictable structure they've built around it. So yeah, no, it's a high rental of a film because there's enough fun stuff here that I'd say, by all means, it's something you should see at some point.
I honestly had a good time watching it. I'm going to give it a matinee, but I did think, as far as me being a robot and seeing robots act in that world, it's like, it's one of those robots needed to fucking come alive, because if they just gave that to you, I think that movie would have triumphed even more. And if the director's listening, hey, I'm available. So if you do a sequel, I would bring all the charm and everything that you really wanted for that fucking robot Adam in this movie. I roll like a bowling ball. I sting like a flea. So we will have a winner on our hands, all right?
And don't worry about it, co-host. When robot fighting becomes real, putting a boxing glove on your head, putting you right in the
Cole, get back in there. You can do it, Cole. Cole just had to get the toaster.
Try to make it real. Everybody now